So one of the things that I found very interesting is, did you know that witchcraft was legal until I believe it was 1952 in England? And of course, we know how illegal it was here in Puritan early American history. People were burned, slaughtered, killed just for even being called a pagan or a witch or practicing magic or the occult. It was very illegal back when we had such a conservative form of government. And one of the things I don't believe people understand is that it was never even recognized legally in the United States until 1985. Uh, it was officially, and actually I'm going to read this little excerpt because I learned something today as I was researching this. Um, Officially, it was recognized in 1985 after a short battle in Congress and the Supreme Court in the United States. Witchcraft, or practice of the wise, as it is sometimes known, came under fire by a bill submitted to Congress by Jesse Helms. The Helms Amendment came under great fire by both constitutional and Bill of Rights supporters. In the end, the bill was shot down, stating that pagan paths are protected under the First Amendment, freedom of religion. After this ruling, the U.S. Army added a section to the U.S. Army Chaplain's Handbook for witchcraft practices. The handbook lists religion as Wicca, which is one of the modern sects of the faith. However, it is known by many other names. You'll find witchcraft listed uh, in, in most governmental handbooks and whatnot now. So yeah, it is legal. I know it is not illegal to practice witchcraft in the United States and um, England as well. So a lot of people ask that, why is it so secret? Is it illegal? Well, don't get me wrong. There are people that abuse, like any religion, there are bad people. It doesn't matter. I mean, look what goes on in Catholicism and all the horrible things that happen in some of these evangelical places. There are horrible people in paganism as well. So, you know, harm none, do what you will. We'll get into that later. But is witchcraft as a practice and paganism as a practice legal? Yes, it is protected by law. So, as a matter of fact, I'll share a little history, a personal history with me. I remember back in, I would say, 96, 97. Forgive me, somebody, if you get me wrong. But we had an issue in South Florida. I'm from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and there was a church down there called the Church of the Iron Oak. And they were battling the Florida Supreme Court. What had happened was that they were trying to outlaw witchcraft, and it was very funny how this happened. You weren't allowed to have groups of 3 or more meeting to do religious practice together unless you were recognized by the state as a church. And this was one of those things where, some conservative churches in the South, Florida is kind of the South until you get down to West Palm Beach, then it becomes New York City. In a very interesting turn of events, this was during a time when a lot of the evangelicals were building new churches, and they were getting raided for Bible studies. Everyone was doing Bible study. I don't know. I'm sure they still do it. And they were getting raided for having Bible study with 3 or more people. And of course, all the pagan covens and whatnot were getting raided. As a matter of fact, I was raided once when we were in Dunedin, Florida. They wanted to know what we were doing and why were there so many people gathered and whatnot. They didn't do anything, but they did hassle us. But anyway, long story short, they won, and they had to remove that law. So it is now legal to practice. You don't need to be a recognized coven in the state of Florida you are allowed to have more than 3 people come to your house and worship together. I just thought that was a very interesting thing since we were talking about legal aspects of paganism, magic, and the occult.